The following video is going to show you various art making techniques. These techniques will include watercolor painting and tempera painting. The first technique shown will be wet on wet watercolor. You will need watercolor paint, a paintbrush, water, and paper. Start out by placing a little drop of water in each of your paints. This will activate your paint and it's ready to go. Before you start painting, you're going to paint water on top of your paper. Your paper will be glossy, and that's how you know your paper is ready. This will help the paint move around for the wet on wet technique, wet paint and wet paper. For the wet on wet technique, our goal is to have the paint mix on its own and create other colors. If your paint is wet and your paper is wet, the mixing will happen beautifully. So let the paint do its own thing and don't overmix. Just have fun with it and enjoy. This is a great way to have students learn the basics of watercolor. The following technique is a watercolor resist. You will need watercolor paint, a paintbrush, water, paper, and crayons for this. The watercolor resist technique is simple. We're going to create a design on our paper with crayons. Then we will paint over our design with the watercolors. Our crayon design is going to show through the paint, and that's where the resist comes into place. Since most crayons are made of wax, and water and wax don't mix, the crayons will resist the water and the paint will stay on top. It's important that you press hard enough when you're drawing your design so the resist comes through when you start to paint. The magic will start to happen when you start painting over all of your crayon designs. Encourage students to use a white crayon to make their designs. It's a little harder to see on the page, but once you start painting over it, they really pop through. Our next technique is using markers as watercolor. You will simply need a piece of paper, paintbrushes, and markers. The markers must be washable. I'll be using Crayola. Start by drawing any design you want straight with your markers. No need to color in your design, all you need is the outline. Once your design is done, you're going to get your paintbrush. With your wet paintbrush, you're going to go over your outline and paint as if it was regular watercolor. Because these markers are water soluble, once you add water to them, they will start to diffuse and blend. They will act just like they were watercolors. This is a great technique to use if you do not have watercolors readily available. The markers also blend and mix easily with each other. Our last art making technique shown will be painted paper. Painted paper is a great way to show texture in an artwork. It's also great for all elementary ages. It's important to use colors in the same family, such as the ones I'm using. Yellow and blue and green blend nicely together because if you blend the yellow and the blue, you will already make green. Kids of all ages can simply paint the entire page with all the paint given using a scratchy effect with their paintbrush, or even add new elements in, like this loofah sponge that I'm painting with. Painted paper has endless possibilities. Each time you paint one, you're always painting something new. And those are a few art making techniques you can use in your classroom.